Hello everybody and welcome. This is Adrian. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today I want to talk about Total War Saga Thrones of Britannia, releasing May 3rd, 2018 for the price of $39.99 in your respective currency. I would like to give a special thanks to Creative Assembly for providing me with a review key for this title. This is actually the first review key ever provided by Creative Assembly, so much appreciated. Now let's get into the review. I would like to point out that although I've had some 15 hours with the game for review purposes, I do want to declare that this review is by no means exhaustive of all the elements or facets of the game. There may be things I do not discuss or have missed that other reviewers may touch upon. First, let's talk about the graphics. Thrones of Britannia uses the engine of Total War Attila, albeit with a few well-needed performance optimizations and graphical improvements. To put it simply, this game looks absolutely incredible. With a 6-core processor and a GTX 1080 Ti running at ultra settings at a resolution of 2560 by 1440, this game absolutely comes to life, and sometimes I think that I'm actually watching real people than a video game through my computer screen. The graphical fidelity of this game cannot be understated. Rain falling on the battlefield is absolutely beautiful to look at. Golden poppies flowing in a field of grass as men fight and die in battle is a sight to behold, and regiments of Viking Huscarls in full armor and paint is breathtaking. This game looks incredibly realistic and has a much more pleasing aesthetic with its color scheme and variation in terms of unit uniforms and armor compared to something like Total War Attila, which had a drab color scheme, a gritty and grungy aesthetic, and a dark, brooding tone. The visual quality especially extends to the campaign map. The map is enormous, gorgeous, and filled with detail. Settlements with land clearances of scarecrows, churches, bell towers, and moot hills make for distinctive cities upon hills, and the winter season brings the chilling snow across the land, consuming everything in beauty and ice. It's an absolute sight to behold. Let's talk about the music and sound. Overall, both are quite good. Although I think the music is a bit passive, it fits the period and really adds quite a touch to the tone and environment of the game, and is really pleasurable to listen to, both during battles and on the campaign map. As for sound and sound effects, unit voices in the roar of battle sound as they should. Swords and shields clash, men groan in pain, horses crash into troops, and the mountains, rivers, and wildlife make the campaign map come to life through sound. It's really well done stuff. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. To get straight to the point, if you're looking for a game like Rome 2, Attila, Warhammer 1, or Warhammer 2, you'll probably be a little dismayed by Thrones of Britannia. Things like public order have been significantly simplified, there is no growth or sanitation mechanics for settlements, unit variety has been slimmed down into essentially 3 tiers of troops, and agents have been removed from the game. Now, I do want to declare that the changing of features is not necessarily a bad thing. Thrones of Britannia has been very open about what type of game it is and the type of game that it wants to be, and I can tell you that what is here in this game does work and does provide for an enjoyable gameplay experience. In fact, the narrowing of scope and the streamlining of features very much reminds me of Shogun 2 and Shogun 2's gameplay, particularly the Fall of the Samurai campaign. With the streamlining of mechanics as far as the campaign, economy, public order, and unit recruitment and variety, Thrones of Britannia focuses more on the battles, on the setting, on the events, and on the campaign experience, providing a gameplay experience that, on one hand, isn't too difficult, overwhelming, or tedious to new players, but it also isn't so dull and shallow that Total War veterans won't enjoy the experience. Your mileage will vary, of course. I've played every Total War game since Medieval 2, and although we all know Shogun 2 is the pinnacle and masterpiece of the Total War franchise, Thrones of Britannia is by no means, falling to the wayside. The campaign is fun, and the factions feel fairly unique and varied between each other, with their own unique mechanics and units and playstyles that's just different enough to give each faction its own depth without imposing unnecessary burdens on the player. So far, I've finished 2 campaigns in Thrones of Britannia and intend to play and have tried every single faction in the game, and I must say that what I've seen so far has been really, really enjoyable. Thrones of Britannia is simplistic, it's streamlined, it's a bit less daunting to get into compared to something like Attila, and this doesn't make for an empty or pointless gameplay experience. Is it Attila? No. Is it Shogun 2? Certainly not. But as I've said, by the narrowing of the scope of the game and the settings and the mechanics, it has this Shogun 2 feel, where detail can be given to the setting and campaign and units, where in something like Attila, there might be less detail just because of the sheer amount of mechanics in the game, or content the game requires to function. In Attila especially, all these mechanics and features just kind of jumble up together and sometimes can get overwhelming for a player or tedious to deal with as time goes on. Thrones of Britannia feels contained. It feels narrowed, targeted, and simplified, Veterans of Total War might be turned off by this, but Thrones of Britannia in every way was not meant to be some masterpiece or revolution of the franchise. I would argue that if it was, it didn't hit its mark, especially not in the way that something like Shogun 2 did for the Total War series. That being said, the game is fun, and I've enjoyed myself, and I feel like I will continue to enjoy myself with it. I'll admit replay value is a bit of a worry for me, as the limited number of factions and the reduction in content compared to other titles in the Total War franchise may result in Thrones of Britannia running its course a little more quickly than other titles, but I suppose time will tell. Now, let's get on to the verdict. To be as blunt and precise as I can, as much as I do enjoy this game, for $39.99 in your respective currency, I have a bit of difficulty recommending you go out and instantaneously pick up this game. There's a lot of good stuff here, and the game is fun, but if you are a veteran Total War player, I am a bit concerned you might find the game wanting. A lot has been changed, a lot has been removed compared to games like Rome 2 or Attila, and I feel like for some veterans of the Total War franchise out there, it just might be too much of a reduction in content for someone to be completely satisfied with this game at $39.99. I'm of the inclination that something like $29.99 would be more appropriate for a title like this, which actually is currently the price of Fall of the Samurai. So I want to recommend and state this. If you are a diehard Total War fan and you absolutely have to play all the titles regardless, get this one at full price. I think you'll be satisfied with it. I think it'll be fine. It'll be a fine experience. If you're more of a casual player though, and you're not dying to have all the Total War titles, you know, or if you're maybe a relatively recent sort of player into the franchise, you may want to pick this up because of its simplicity, or at the same time, you might be okay with just passing or waiting for a sale for this game. I do recommend that you get this game at some point, especially if you're a more, new beginner casual player of the Total War franchise. I think this game will provide a nice gameplay experience for you. But for $39.99, I'm going to recommend maybe waiting for a sale would be the better thing to do. Especially if you're a more casual player and you're not the hugest fan of Total War, you need some sort of incentive to get yourself into the franchise. You might feel a bit shafted at $39.99, especially if you're new. At the same time, though, if you're curious about it, this is a good entry title. I would think a beginner would have a really, really good time with this game. And that's going to be it for me, folks. I do hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope this review has helped some of you guys out there in making your purchasing decision about Total War Saga Thrones of Britannia. I'm very interested to see just how successful this game actually is as far as sales. I'm really kind of curious because there really are two very divided camps about whether or not Total War and the franchise should be going in this sort of direction. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know what you guys think about the review. If there's things that you would like to know more about, I'll be in the comments down below answering questions and getting back to you guys on any sort of concerns that you guys have. So thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.